Yeah. Got the audio. Okay. I think we're good. All right. So I need to. I've got a working Escrow Solana program. I've got a couple dev wallets, and I can basically create an escrow, initialize an escrow from one wallet, select a token, a coin that I want to exchange out for another token to come in, basically. So just a simple escrow program I've been working on, and I'm trying to allow right now the current wallet, how I've designed the anchor program is that my wallet, the user, can only create one escrow at a time using PDAs. So the seeds that are used for the PDA are not unique, and therefore they can only create one escrow. And so that escrow either needs to exchange, so another wallet needs to connect and accept the escrow, or the initiator needs to cancel the escrow. And that way the PDA no longer has any data, and so I can basically create another escrow. That's okay, but I want to give the option to create multiple escrows, and I'm going to do a little bit of copying of what I've done with a polls app, where a user can create multiple polls where people can vote on it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new branch, because this is going to be a huge update. So I'm going to get branch, and let's see, I'm going to call this multiple escrows. Multiple escrows. That's kind of what we're getting at. Trying to allow the user, the wallet, to create multiple escrows. So let's do that. And then make sure it's there. Yeah. All right. So check out. And all right. Let's don't need to run the test validator at this point. Yeah. So I think we're good. All right, so what am I going to do? I'm actually going to, you know what? I'm going to, I need to close down some stuff. Let's try this again. All right, so I need, I've got instructions in state. We could do. Poll. This over here. What else are we gonna have? Poll. Let's see what this custom program. Yeah. So, sorry. So this block, this is where I'm initializing the poll account. And what I do is it has a unique prefix, or nothing new. I mean, every poll has a PDA, where the seed is a prefix plus some counter increment or ID, basically, and then that's it. What other examples? I have create profiles where I restrict it. I don't want them to create, where I have the wallet can only create one profile. So I restrict it there, like I currently do with my escrow. They can only create one escrow. Vote, what does that look like? It's been a while since I've looked at this program. So let's go down to the init, right here, the seeds. I've got a prefix, get a poll, which is fine. And the authority, but this is, because I don't do any incrementer, this prevents the same wallet voting for the same poll multiple times. Okay, so I've got a couple examples here. I think ultimately though, what I want to do is I need kind of like a higher level account, yeah, that kind of will reference the escrow PDA that I create. So this is one tab. Let's just do tab new. Sorry. And in this one, this tab, I'm in Lunar Vim. It's handy. Let's do. I need to go into, where am I going? The escrow. So non-custodial, and we'll do a lib. Here's my whole program in one. It's a little clunky. May need to consider breaking this up. Let's just get started though. So right now, let's see, this is the state that I have. I have an escrow. That's it. And I have some context for anchor. But currently, my account is this. The structure is this. Where I've got the authority, which is the wallet, the buyer, the bump, blah, blah, blah. Now, at the very least, I could, oh, you know what, hang on, let me make sure I'm in the right branch. Yeah, multiple escrows, okay. Before I start messing up the main branch. So let's do little commas, update, adding another high level account to enable multiple escrows. To enable multiple escrows. By same symbol. All right, so that's what I'm trying to do. So let's use lovely anchor. So we're going to call this, what are we going to call this? I'm going to call this it's an account. And what sort of struct? Hang on, let me move this to the top. Pub struct, and one thing I could do is call this. I don't know. I need like a parent account. thinking about calling this maybe exchange. Okay. So. All right. So let's, what would we have here? So this itself is going to be a PDA, you know? So I think we'll have an authority. Trying to think, is it create vote, or create poll, custom program? Could be something like this. Just bring in this custom program over as an example. So where we have, it's an authority, keeping track of that total profile count. I could say total escrow account, track unique. In this case, it's going to be 8 bytes because 64 type. This would be it. This would be my unique identifier. So if for every escrow that is created, there's kind of like a one-to-one like exchange that's also created. Yeah. I can't think of anything else. Like I don't need polls and votes and stuff. It's a PDA, so convention is to store the bump that is used to find the PDA. So, I mean, this is pretty bare bones. Now, that said, there are a couple of things in my escrow account that I could consider moving, actually. So for the actual escrow, so the escrowed out token account, like this is where the actual money gets stored from. So I need this account inside the escrow. Yeah. Also inside the escrow itself, the person who creates the escrow is the authority. Naturally, it should match the authority of the exchange. So that will be a constraint when we initialize. It could have the buyer. I could move the buyer. Because like buyer could be like, we don't know like the buyer at first. So I actually later went back and added the buyer. Let's go show. So when we init, I have a buyer, and I learned that you can kind of ignore it. You don't have to do, you don't have to actually initialize it to any sort of value, but you can specify that it's going to be of type pub key, and that will, for data size in the account, you can go ahead and allocate and compute that pub key space, which is 32. But yeah, I'm thinking like buyer, like ultimately like an exchange could have the buyer. I can move the buyer. I can move the buyer there. What else? Like the token account out mint, and out the mount and mint is active. Like this is active and has exchanged. Those could be moved to this exchange account. I mean, at the very least, like what I could do is just leave everything as is, and the quickest way is just to have some high-level account. So it has like authority, total escrow count. But I need to be able to increment this every time. So it's not just creating the escrow, we're also creating an exchange account. Ah, shit. It's not easy. So, currently, if I go to create a custom program, let's go here and look at this. Close this window. So, we have a context, we create a new program, we set the authority, all that sort of thing. And that's essentially it. So we're initializing it, and all we're doing is basically, it's a very, very generic, but this is like high level. I could copy this like custom program account structure. Certainly could do that. So then you have kind of like this high level. And all it does is just literally like increments. Or I create this exchange, which, I mean, ultimately, like I don't know, I'm just talking this out through, but right now I have a working program using this setup. And it's a lot to completely rewrite, like changing these fields out and whatnot. I mean, what's my goal right now? My goal is I want to enable my wallet to create multiple escrows. So, kind of thinking it may be easiest if I kind of like use this kind of custom program account idea. Now, I don't know if custom program is the best name. It's something I came up with last time, but ultimately, so here, after I create the custom program, we have votes, and let's see, how did I do the instruction? Create, is it the non-lib? What is this? Which one is this? No, this doesn't look right. Yeah. So here's, at the end of the day, I have, first thing I do is I create a custom program, then I create profile, got it creating a poll and creating a vote, yeah, with each one has its own unique instruction arguments. Yeah, it's like really basic. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. I think for this, what is this? Maybe I don't bother with this exchange idea, because I mean, honestly, there's not really much like my escrow account structure. It works for the most part. Like you could argue you could put things elsewhere, but one thing that it does not have, that I will have to add, is the number. Like this is escrow ID 1, 2. I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna mimic and copy something that I've worked with before, which is this custom program idea. So let's use this as an example. I'll just paste this here. So 3.1. We're going to use as a struct custom. Move that down here. And let's go. All right, so I'm going to get, these are my old notes. Pass inside transaction. I'll leave some of these notes. They're kind of handy. With it. Let's see. I already have this. Don't need that. And what I'll do is I'll call it custom program. We'll just keep it 8 bytes for. How could I keep track of all the unique polls created? Level properties. Yeah. So remember, there's 8 bits for the discriminator. So we'll call this custom program. Authority is going to be the same authority. Yeah. Let's see. And we'll do total escrow, total escrows count, escrow count. Going to track that authority. I can't think of anything else at this point that, like, let's think about this. They're going to be able to exchange. So just keeping track of this escrow count will be handy. You have an authority over this customer program account. It's going to be basically like basically it's going to be the same wallet that will deploy this program ultimately on the chain. So I'm just calling it authority. Keeping track of the number of escrows. Inside the escrows, we're going to keep track of whether or not it's canceled or they exchanged. Stores the money. Talks about details around the token. I can't think of anything else. If I need to look up like token types and stuff, like again, I can just find the escrow account itself. So I feel like custom program could work. So we have a discriminator, default, authority linked. I'm gonna get rid of these and call this. All right, so I'm gonna get, so we have the discriminator, we have the authority. Get rid of these because I'm only have one total escrow. Do escrow, total escrow count length. It's type U64, so we have 8 bytes. And then the bump, 1 byte for the bump. And then custom program, count space, authority length. Oh, well, the discriminators here, obviously. Plus authority, plus, I get rid of all that. Okay, escrow, seed prefix. Let's do well, I guess we'll just leave it custom program. It's easy. And then we're implementing a little bit new functionality to our custom program account struct. So we can have a little easier. So what are we missing? We're missing our fields, obviously. So let's do total escrow count. And now we have like, wait, cannot find in the scope. Total escrow count. What was I missing? Oh, I'm sorry. I have to I'm initializing it a little bit. Not a little bit. When I create a new one, I'm setting some default values. So obviously, I need to initialize it to 0 because we're starting at 0. So now I see what's going on. So I feel like that kind of does it for our custom program account, like at least the structure of it. Yeah. And then we have some context here, instruction context. So I'm going to leave this down here. And I'm going to take what I have here that I've used previously to create a custom program context. And I'm going to move it up to the top. Because really, as it is, it's not going to work. Like I can't. Basically, what we're doing is like I won't be able to create any sort of escrows until this custom program account has been initialized, and then from there, it will do. It will do what we need to do. So context, create custom program count. Mutable signer is the authority system program. There really is not much to it. So the seeds here, we're just using a default custom program prefix, nothing crazy, and the authority is going to be the payer. I obviously have some questions from previous attempts looking at this, so these are kind of comments from last time, but you know, like, does this, who, is there a better way, or do you need to also pass in the authority key? I would think anyone should be able to like read this data, like reading like the total number of escrows created in this program, for example. Like, who cares? That's just read only. Now, to be able to modify the data to write to this program account, you're going to need the authority will be able to do that only. So, because they're going to be the signer. So, yeah, remove this trait, then it breaks. Okay, so account mutable. So when creating an account with init, the payer needs to sign the transaction. However, if we're dealing with PDAs, then it could be different. At the very least, PDAs can't technically sign since they are not key pairs. Only via CPI, which is cross-program invocation, can PDAs do some pseudo signing. Yeah, it's kind of like essentially like who owns this PDA. Well, it's going to be kind of this program, and through cross-program invocation, this program. So like this program that we're writing to do this escrow stuff. Only it combined, I guess, with the authority would be able to write to this account. So I think that should work. And then we have obviously previous instructions to initialize the escrow, to accept the escrow and to cancel the escrow. So nothing too crazy. Now that said, how do we link all this? Like escrow as is still has the same problem. We can't modify my, we can't. So I need a count. I need to add a new field that keeps track of the escrow number, for example. So how did I do it with polls? This is create poll. And I called it, oh, I see. To create a new poll, what did I have here? It's it has some fields, so it needs a poll number, and that's basically it. So I think what I could do now, it's handy if you put the, okay, I put the poll number like right at the top. I did authority, then poll number, the second field in my poll structure. Now this matters when you're later filtering, when you're trying to fetch program accounts data off the chain. Yeah, it's for later, but you basically knowing the size of your fields and where the data is stored and stuff, you're going to want to know that. So putting, I found putting some of these fields that I may need to search by or whatever closer to the beginning of where the data is stored, like data location number, found it helpful. So let's do this. So I'm going to go to update, adding escrow number to enable multiple escrows. All right, and what we'll do is we'll call escrow number and type 64 because there could be a bunch. Yeah, and that's it, really. Prefix, now because of this, I'm adding one more to this. So it's 8 for escrow number. Okay. Got some more comments. This is late. I've made a couple of revisions to this, so I figure I'm just keeping track of this because, well, it's a big project and there's lots to get through. So now I need to remember to add another 8 bits. So this 8 bits represents the escrow number that we're going to start storing in this escrow account. And we're going to start using the total escrow count from the custom program account to help us do that. So, which means now, when we create a new escrow account, where I do the init, yeah, so, so here we go. The seeds. It's going to take escrow plus the seller key. Now this time, we want to add the escrow count. Yeah, and the way that we get that is we need that from the custom program. And my custom program has this context for its instruction, and it initializes at 0. Yeah, and then so down here, which means now we're like for this initialize context, we're going to need, whenever we want to create a new escrow, we're actually going to need access to this this custom program. So I'm going to grab that, update, I need custom program. For Escrow. All right, so it's a seed, and we're gonna, we need to access and update, and so modify this custom program account. So we're using anchor here. We're going to be saying, okay, it's going to be an account, and we're going to call this custom program, and it's of type account, with info, but this time it has a struct custom program that we have defined right down here, which is pretty basic, holds 3 fields essentially. And now that we back into this instruction, where was I? Sorry. So initialize, now that we have access to this custom program account, we then should be able to add to our seeds. So if I do escrow and then seller, and then say at the very end I do, wait, oh, I was about to say it, like what happened? Let's move this down here. Now we're talking. So the seeds that we're going to pass to help us find and derive a PDA, program derived address for this escrow account, is now going to include the number. So from the custom program, so we take custom program, and what we're going to do is it's going to have a field called total escrow count, plus 1. So we got to kind of wrap this up. I forget exactly. So I think all this is in bytes for seeds. So let me see how I did this previously. So when we were creating any profile, like create vote. Let's see. Create poll. How do we do this? Yeah, so something like this. So you get the, you're gonna get, it's gonna be like custom escrow count plus 1 2-string as ref. I see. So back over here, 2-string as ref, and you kind of like, let me just see. Yeah, that's it. So I feel pretty good. So now every time we create an escrow account, we now are enabling the creation of multiple escrow accounts because of this unique identifier. Now, there may be a simple, easy way of doing this, and if you know, by all means, let me know, because this is the only example that I have seen that I've come across as a way to allow a wallet to create a multiple PDAs of PDA accounts, and you have to basically add some unique identifier, a unique seed, because when I don't have this, if this line is gone, this restricts, my wallet can only create one PDA with these current seeds. So, all right, so we have that. Let's see. After that, we have that. Now the first things first though is I need up here, we're gonna have to set, this context is bringing in all these accounts, and it's going to do that. But what I do need is I need to set the some values on it. So I need to let custom program equals, and it's going to be a borrowed mutable from our context, which is this initialize. And it's going to be accounts. Yeah. Sorry. Let's see. Accounts, and it's custom program. No. What the hell is going on? Custom program. Thank you. And I want the total escrow. Total escrow count. I guess what I could do is just borrow the custom program. So now I have access to the whole thing. Not like there's much there, but I have it. Now, because I'm not using it, and then I have this escrow. I don't even know if I need to do that, actually. I could just do another way of setting this variable is I'm borrowing. Well, no. I need to. So this initialize, when I create this, I also, not only do I need that total escrow count from the custom program, so I can add as a seed to the escrow count, but I also need to increment that. So I need to modify the custom program account. So let me go back to that. So custom program equals borrowed mutable ctx.accounts. Why is that doing that? Accounts dot custom program. So now we have that. Yay. I need to set the bump and authority here. Let's do escrow dot escrow number. So now this new field is coming in. That's nice. But we're going to set it to the custom program dot total escrow count. It should be +1 though, right? Because maybe it's at 3 and now we're creating a new one. So we're just incrementing that, yeah? I think that's how I did it. Let me go look. I would say like one of the benefits of like trying to write your own code with this stuff is like I've gone through it, so I can jog my memory. I'm still learning how to work with LunarVim. It's a little bit different. Find buffers, and that's what I wanted. I wanted the So this is from polls. I feel like this is it. So, photo count, context. No, this is not right. This is what I want. First things first. Yeah, I need to create the custom program. All right. I gotta stop it here. To be continued. Okay, so now let's we're continuing the whole multiple escrow, adding in the functionality to create multiple escrows with a single wallet. And this is yeah, this is our next kind of the continuation. So where are we? Where were we? So after creating this new account, this custom program account. Again, this is just a kind of a high-level generic program-wide PDA that's just tracking some program-wide data, like not a whole lot to it. We have this total escrow count, and we've implemented that. We've added an escrow number field to the escrow account struct, which we're just going to use that as like a generic increment ID, +1, +1. We're just going to increment for every escrow that gets created. The custom program total escrow count value will increment. So, and I've already added in the initialize context, I updated and said we're going to have access to the custom program account data. And so then in the actual instruction function, I think that's what they call it, this initialize function that has our instruction context in terms of anchor, as well as the arguments. To initialize or to create the escrow, we have I've added the escrow number. So from the context accounts, we grab a mutable copy of the custom program, and we use whatever value it has as the total escrow count, and we increment by 1, and we set that to be assigned to the escrow's escrow number value. All right, now that's cool and all. That's fine. And so then as we initialize the escrow, we kind of update these values. Anchor does some checks, constraints and such. That's fine. If everything goes well, then we're good to go. After the transfer of the out token, and that's successful, so we want to make sure like this all kind of works out. After that, I would say a little update here. We're going to we need to modify and actually update the custom program's total escrow count by 1. So assuming this is all successful, then we need to do a last minute increment. Total escrow count. Okay. And so let's take custom program dot total escrow count, and we're going to do plus equals 1. Yeah. So now it's been successful. So let's go ahead and update that state. So that works. The problem is, though, so far is like, yeah, this is part of our create escrow. However, we haven't added an instruction to create the custom program, which we need to do here. So I'm going to create a new function. So public function create custom program. I think it's just going to take the context, but this time it's a context of, and we've already created it, called custom pro. Well, it's called create custom program. And that should work right there. Obviously, now we need to initialize the account. So, well, let's see. This instruction context that we're using is going to initialize the custom program account, which is what we want. It's also going to have the authority, which will be the signer, the immutable, and the system program. So I feel like I'm looking at the context for initialize, the actual instruction context for initialize. We have all these accounts and arguments that we pass in. Yeah, that's that. So back to custom program. If that's our context, well, then we need to get, before we can actually init the we need to get a mutable copy custom program. So this hasn't been created yet. It's once this function runs, will the actual custom program account be created? But from our context, we can get a mutable. I don't know if we can get a mutable actually. Huh. Let me go back and see, how did I do this originally? I want the instructions, create custom program, create custom program. If I go to that, okay. So let's see. Should just take what did I do for? Oh, I did. I gave it. All right. So this struct custom program has a new, so we're going to create a new one. And in order to do that, we have to pass in the authority and a bump value, okay, to create a new one. So let's see. All right. So I need to create this. So we're going to do custom program new, and the authority would come from the context. So we can do ctx.counts.authority, yeah, key, I think, and the bump, there's a special ctx bumps. Forget exactly the syntax. Oh yeah, that's right. Now this is a key thing. So let's see, syntax error, what's missing? Expect. Hey, no worries. Have a good one. Okay. So, I'm having a little difficult time reading this. It's got too much custom program expect and get not found, and then that should do it, right? There we go. Expected a return type. It's just complaining because this is going to return a result. Now, because we're in Rust, because this is a result either returns an OK or an error. And I think that should do it. Yeah. So if it's OK, that's what it will return. If it's not, it will return the error. Okay, so this is essentially creating our custom program. Let me see. Bumps expect. Oh yeah. After we create this, we also need to set. What else is on this? So we have the authority. We've already passed it the authority and the bump, but it needs the system program, right? Because that's part of. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It doesn't need the system program. The system program is obviously a part of it because there's accounts being created and stuff. But we need to use this line right here where we're actually updating. So we've created this custom program. We're deriving, getting a new custom program account. Passed it the authority key, getting the bumps. Matching the seed that we're passing, or not the seed, but actually the account. So this argument right here inside of get, this bumps.get method, what we put here in a string, it's actually reference the account name, which in the context I've defined it as custom underscore program, but you may recall that I've got a seed that is custom hyphen program. That's a seed. So that's a little gotcha. Took me a minute or a few minutes to figure that out previously, so I make sure to kind of keep a note on that. But so now I've created this new custom program. Variables, storing all this stuff. However, I need to actually update the context accounts to store the value of this new custom program. And to do that, I can do ctx.accounts. I really got to work out ctx accounts. I've got to update my Vim. This is Lunar Vim. I like to hit tab to kind of autocomplete. I need to change that. And then custom program. And then there's this helpful, my understanding is how do we serialize and kind of package it all up so it can be stored. And there's a set inner. So it sets the inner instead of this, blah, 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 you can do this, new user result set inner. Okay, so this is nice and handy. So we find the account that we're doing, in this case custom program, and we use the set inner method, and Anchor helps us out and packages this all inside. So what do we have what do we want to set it to? Well, we want to set it to what we just created, this custom program. That's my understanding of how that would be used. Oh, almost. So it's a custom program. If we pass just without the clone, then it's actually passing the whole, it's a kind of a memory management Rust concept. So we got to clone it. We actually don't want to pass in without the clone, the original, because then it won't be, my understanding is that it won't be available in other parts of our program because we've kind of gotten rid of it. Not rid of it, but we've kind of given over control and responsibility to this set inner, basically, and then it's gone because this is the end of our function, and then other functions in our program wouldn't have access to this custom program because, yeah, that's a Rust concept. Still working on that, but I think it has something to do with kind of management, memory management, and borrowing. So obviously I need to continue to work on more, brush up on that. Rust is an interesting language, and I like it. So, all right, so I think we have essentially, like, we're creating a new account. It's custom program. It's basic. It has an authority field. It has a bump, and to get the bump that is generated from a PDA, when Anchor tries to find a PDA and gets a PDA for this account to be stored, there's a bump value that comes along with that, and this handy line right here allows us to capture and grab that bump right away, and there we go. And part of how we create a new custom program struct is that we've say down here, we're going to create a new function on the struct called new, and we have to pass it the authority and the bump, and it will then just set those values directly into our structure. So looking good. So we have that. Back to the initialize for the escrow, we are borrowing this custom program now that we've have it into our context, and now it's an actual account. Same thing with the escrow. We are getting this escrow, and we are updating its fields. Now we're using this total escrow count, and the custom program, if everything goes well, by initializing and creating a new escrow, account, then at the very end we can take our custom program, this total escrow account value, and properly increment it by 1, and now we should be good. So to test this, we have to we have to see if we can build it, and let's kind of see what happens after doing that. So I'm gonna open up another terminal, and we'll just do Solana test, get the validator going, and then over here what we'll do is we'll do the anchor build, and this is the correct escrow program, and then after we build it, we deploy it. Let's see if we have any errors at this point. Yeah. I don't know, my friends. We'll see. So we're on a different branch. So I've got, I also have a test. So I'll show you that actually. It's, it needs work after these changes, but kind of gives you a sense. So let me open this up. This was called the Escrow, non-custodial escrow TS. Open this into a new tab, and let's see. So if I were to run this right now, I haven't changed anything. I haven't adjusted for these changes to my program. If I go and I do Solana logs is handy if you're ever trying to like debug something that something in your program, Solana programs. The Solana logs can sometimes point out some things that you wouldn't see. So if I run my test, anchor run test escrow, I've got a specific test script that targets just this program because I've got a lot of programs in the same repo. So it's running my test, and yeah, we're failing. We're seeing some failed tests. So command failed with exit 3. If I scroll down here, all these different transactions, create, and then yeah, anchor error caused by account escrow, account not initialized. Program expected this account to be already initialized. There's stuff that's going on. Obviously, we haven't accounted for the changes. So that's next. Let's do that. So we have the changes. Now let's see if we can get our test going. So how I've got this test going so far, it's a lot. Here I added some fields to the Escrows account. I'm going to add another little update for myself. Update. I don't know, just giving myself a heads up. This is what, November 22nd-ish. Added a new custom program account to track total, what is it, total, what do we call it, total escrow account, in order to allow wallets to create multiple escrow PAs. Okay, that's like at the high level what I'm trying to do here. So I don't know, we'll see. So what I've got right now, I've got this test provider. Anchor is awesome in terms of testing. They do a lot of cool stuff for you out of the box. But whenever you build, when you do anchor build, let me get out of here actually. If I go to anchor build, if you go to target and then you pick the IDL, whenever you build this program, Anchor will compile it all nicely for you and put it into this IDL that has all the types, all the types and accounts and instructions all mapped out for you. So then it allows you to use what they call the Anchor workspace. That's very helpful, especially when writing your tests and stuff and you're trying to test it kind of from the client, from the front end. Okay, so I have this non-custodial escrow on this branch. It should be a little bit different. Let's click on that one. Close that up, and yeah, so if I create custom program, yeah, okay, so this is updated. Version, whatever. I need to learn how to do versioning in Anchor, because like I've got a working single escrow program. I wasn't sure if I should just like completely redo, save that one and then just start a fresh program, kind of copy paste stuff over. I'm learning this stuff as I go, but so I think that's one thing I need to look into, is like how do you properly do like upgrading your own custom programs. You need to look into that. But we'll notice now that I've got a new instruction based off of, create custom program and the accounts that instruction needs in order to execute. And there's no args except for the Anchor context that we provide, which basically is all these accounts essentially. So I have this new the new instruction, and I should have a new account. One's called Escrow, one's called, now I've got a new one called custom program. Yeah, and you see that it's fields and yada yada yada. So looking good. So if I go back to my test, what I do is I first initialize like some tokens, some just generic, create some tokens, create a test wallet for the buyer, and I use my kind of local wallet on my machine as the kind of the seller, the one that's going to initiate the escrow. And then I basically do a quick little confirm transaction, make sure that people have like airdrop some tokens into them. And I also, this handy little before function by Mocha allows you to, it's a hook essentially that you, that will run before all of the following test. So before all this, I want to make sure that I've got some tokens in the wallets, okay? And I want to get an escrow PDA value using, this public key find public address. And you'll notice that for the escrow, this time find the PDA of our escrow account to be located at. Well, originally I only had the buffer of the prefix plus the wallet, the authority's public key, but you will recall I now have the custom program value. I need to find that total escrow count. So, which means I need to get a custom program. I actually need to create the custom program first. So, let me see.